Our perspective at Deloitte is that artificial intelligence has existed for the past 70 plus years. The conversation has shifted from, are we going to be proving out the tech? And now how do we have the most material impact on our operations and actually start to get some of these benefits that we've been talking about for years? We've been able to automate over 90% of that process. The lift on that part of the process alone, it's seismic. There are a number of other processes that we haven't even scratched the surface on yet.
What do you think it actually took to get the client from pilot to production?
Welcome to StitchStudio's Pilot to Production. In this series, we're interviewing insurance executives, investors, and consultants to hear real stories of how the industry is operationalizing AI in insurance. From carriers and brokerages to technology partners and investors, you'll gain practical insights, implementation strategies, and lessons learned from the leaders driving enterprise-scale adoption, moving from pilots to implementing responsible, predictable, and explainable AI. I'm Karan Mishra, CEO of StitchStudio, and this is Pilot to Production.
John, thank you very much for joining us. We really appreciate it. For folks that are listening to this, John Matley is a principal with Deloitte, and he's the insurance customer practice leader. John, thanks again for joining us.
Karan, thanks for having me.
Of course, John. John, let's jump right into it. You have a very interesting vantage point, John. You've been speaking with carriers in the market. AI seems to be the flavor of the day that everybody is interested in. Could you talk to us a little bit about what you're hearing from the market when it comes to AI adoption in carriers and what that might look like?
Yeah, I mean, carriers and brokers are pivoting from having experimentation and pilot to like asking the real question of like, how do I actually have this impact my operations? How do I create some type of scale behind this? I mean, if we think about where we started, and this has been a 2 to 3 year journey of let's find something that we can tackle. It's typically a little bit more simple. It's easy. It is a portion of their business. And they're having this realization that it hasn't had a material impact on their effectiveness or their efficiency. So we are advising and we're pushing clients and we're seeing them start to shift to, okay, let's identify where in their value chain is there the most amount of manual effort, where there can it be scale, sufficient scale to be able to have an impact. It's almost as basic as let's take a look at our processes. Where do we spend the most amount of time? Where does it impact 90% of our books, like e.g. a renewal? And let's target that. And so the conversation has shifted from, are we going to be proving out the tech? We're past that. So now how do we have the most material impact on our operations and actually start to get some of these benefits that we've been talking about for years?
Yeah, that's interesting, John. And you mentioned a really interesting example around renewals, right? Have you guys experienced certain metrics that you can share with us around some of the benefits the clients are seeing from the adoption of AI?
Yeah, like a great example is, we have a client who obviously 95% of their book renews. And every year their agents have a renewal conversation with each policyholder. And that used to take 6 to 8 hours of prep. You had to pull information from tens of systems. It's a lot of manual effort, right? So by using the technology now, we've been able to automate over 90% of that process. A multiple hour, 6 to 8 hour process is now 15 to 30 minutes of review and framing and making sure that things are tidy. Like if you think about the lift on that part of the process alone, it's seismic, right? That allows them to then be focused on more higher value activities like talking to their customers, understanding how their life might be evolving. What are some other risks that they need protected? Like those types of, it's just a higher value use of time for the human. At Deloitte, we had a statement earlier this week where one of our taglines at a conference was, let the humans be heroes, let AI do everything else.
Very cool.
That's what the idea is. Like, how do we take the basic rote, manual effort? Let's automate as much of that and have the humans focus on what's most value add.
I love that, John. And I'll kind of tee off that, right? Because there is a lot of noise around AI as well, around AI replacing humans and jobs going away. What I'm hearing from you though is with humans being heroes, like you said, it's almost that AI is meant as an enablement play versus a replacement play. Would you agree with that? Is that how you view it?
Our perspective at Deloitte is that artificial intelligence has existed for the past 70 plus years. We've been through this journey. There were business rules engines, and then there was predictive models, and then all of these capabilities around automation and efficiency, they've existed, and we've been through many waves of this. AI is just the next very potent, very, very powerful example of this. And so if you can take those manual activities that consume lots of hours and time and replace it with a higher value activity, like talking to your customers, right? Identifying new customers. Like that's a higher use and better use of humans' time and efforts, and candidly what we do best.
Yeah, no, that's really insightful. John, you also have an interesting vantage point because you run essentially insurance customer practice for Deloitte. How do you think AI is impacting that side of the world?
I mean, it's all about enablement and improvement and actually bringing a better experience to employees, to intermediaries, and to ultimately to the policyholders. And so like, a great example of that is when you have a broker that is out in the marketplace, and instead of having to spend significant amount of time entering data, creating a quote comparison, having their teams take all these quote proposals from various carriers and aggregate that, instead they're actually getting to know their customer better. They're making sure that all of their risks, and the risks are only getting more and more complicated. How do you ensure that this growing business is fully protected? And so think of it as enabling those individuals to spend the time and the focus on truly what's most important for their customers.
Yeah.
And that's actually the focus of our practice. So it actually works very well.
Yeah, no, it definitely does. I think particularly with the way you phrased AI being an enablement play, which you effectively said, I can certainly see the value that it drives. As you think about this, Sean, and you mentioned an example where a client saw significant ROI.
Yep.
You've clearly, back to the intent of this, right, taken a client from pilot to production. What do you think it actually took to get the client from pilot to production? Was it just technology? Was it beyond that? Like, how did you guys take the client on the journey to get comfortable with putting something in production?
So rule number one that we continue to make mistakes on, we being literally every sector, every industry, is we think it's a technology problem. It's not. Technology is part of the solution. It's okay. So let's really understand the business process. And so we have been, and sometimes this gets lost in the noise of truly understand your underlying business process.
Yeah.
Have individuals that one can rethink and take themselves out of the as is, but also can't be so divorced from it that they're not savvy in terms of like the details of what really an insurance policy is and how what are some rules and regulations and legal constructs around. Like you can't be divorced of that. And it's that balance between the two. It is a business process challenge. It is rethinking the business process, and then you're enabling the technology to tackle those challenges.
So it's really, it goes back to what we've always said, right? It's a people, process, and technology solution. Yeah. It's not just one or the other.
Yeah, an important part about the people element of it, like I'll kind of riff off the heroes. Like one of the biggest challenges is a lot of organizations believe that they need a single individual. And the reality is you have to define the right team. It needs to be a balance of an individual who knows the as is enough, but is also nimble or flexible enough to say, we know there's a better way to do this, right? Sometimes you can bring in others that are not part of the sector industry to like, we're trying to upset the apple cart a little bit and like really kind of push the edges of what you can do. And the reality is that you need kind of the balance between both of them, plus individuals that can enable the technology. So we're strong, we're strong advocates of a well-rounded team with these individuals that bring different perspectives to really kind of push the envelope.
Very interesting. John, this has been fascinating, right? Because you've come from a few different angles in terms of how this impacts the customer. You've clearly taken a client from pilot to production. If there was one thing that you would want to leave the audience with here, what would that one thought be?
I think setting expectations appropriately has honestly been the biggest challenge over the past 2-3 years.
I would agree with that.
There's percentages thrown out of efficiencies and there's the gloom and doom and is humanity going to end? And the reality is this is another tool in the toolbox, right? It's a fantastic tool and it's one that's taking really low efficiency processes and starting to drive some, but you also have to think there are a number of other processes that we haven't even scratched the surface on yet. So when organizations start talking about 50% efficiency, we've got to set expectations appropriately. Now, on a few examples I talked about, is there 80% efficiency on that one process? Yes. Right. But across the entire organization, that's just not where we are yet. So I think we need to set the expectations appropriately. That is the responsibility of leaders to be, balanced in what they're communicating and also be able to then go and execute upon it. I mean, that's the next part of this is obviously getting the right team to be focused on the execution to be able to ultimately achieve those outcomes that they're targeting.
That's a fantastic thought to leave us with. Execute well. I like that. Thank you very much, John. Really appreciate your time. This has been wonderful. Always a pleasure.
Awesome. Thanks for having me.
Thanks for watching. You can subscribe to our show on YouTube or by following us on LinkedIn. And please consider giving us a rating or a review so it helps others to find our show. Visit StitchStudio.ai to learn more about our applied AI solution built for insurance. See you soon.